Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to begin today's investiture ceremony of Western Kentucky University's 10th president. We kindly ask that you silence your cell phones in keeping with the decorum of today's ceremony. You may remain seated as the processional begins. Music is provided by the WKU Brass Ensemble under the direction of Dr. Gary Schaller. Bearing the mace of Western Kentucky University, Chief Marshal and University Distinguished Professor, Dr. Carol Crow Carrico.
Welcome to the investiture of President Timothy C. Caboni, the 10th president of Western Kentucky University. I'm Amy Bingham, your host for today's ceremony. We're here on the campus of WKU, just behind the Downing Student Union on the Centennial Mall. We have bearing the mace of WKU Chief Marshal and University Distinguished Professor Dr. Carol Crow Carrico leading the way, followed by delegates representing colleges and universities from across the United States. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. After days of rain, organizers are thrilled that this type of weather has turned out for such an historic occasion. The investiture of Dr. Timothy Christian Caboni.
The deans of the colleges of Western Kentucky University.
All of our deans are in their regalia. This is a fairly similar situation as commencement, but as we've learned, the investiture is a very historic celebration that's normally done in a president's first year.
Western Kentucky University.
The processional continues with the faculty of Western Kentucky University. We have music provided by WKU's Brass Ensemble. We'll later hear from the WKU Chorale as we get further into the festivities. Of course, we're all looking forward to the speech that will be given by Dr. Caboni, who has been on the job since July 1st of last year as WKU's 10th president. And he's got his family with him today. His parents, also the parents of Casey Caboni, are here. And also a very special mentor of his from Kansas University is here today as well. Her name is Bernadette Gray Little, former chancellor of KU.
President Emeritus of Western Kentucky University, Dr. Gary A. Ransdell. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the platform party and the Board of Regents of Western Kentucky University.
To welcome Dr. Timothy Christian Caboni to the stage and proceed on with the afternoon's festivities, which will include a very special poem that's been written by WKU Poet Laureate Mary Ellen Miller. He'll also be introduced by his former mentor here at WKU, Dr. Randy Capps, who spoke to him on the phone as he was applying for graduate school here back in 1993.
And now please welcome the 10th President of Western Kentucky University, Dr. Timothy Christian Caboni.
Please remain standing for the presentation of colors by the WKU ROTC Color Guard and the singing of our national anthem by WKU senior music major Evan Kerr from Mount Washington, Kentucky.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon. I'm David Lee, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at WKU. And on behalf of the faculty, staff, and students at Western Kentucky University, I'm delighted to welcome you to our beautiful campus for this truly historic occasion. The investiture ceremony is among the oldest traditions in academia. Dating back to English universities, it's thought to be an adaptation of dignified ceremonies heralding knighthood. The investiture of a university president offers an opportunity for reflection on a rich tradition of intellectual endeavor reaching back centuries to the great centers of learning. This ceremony stands as one of the most significant events in the life of a university. Since its founding in 1906, Western Kentucky University has been led by 10 presidents, each leaving a significant mark on the history of this institution and the many communities it serves. We're pleased to be joined this afternoon by one of them. Please welcome WKU President Emeritus, Dr. Gary Ransdell and Mrs. Julie Ransdell. Gary? We're delighted as well to have the son of another former president, Kelly Thompson, Kentucky Court of Appeals Judge, Kelly Thompson. Judge Thompson? And it is quite fitting as we hold this ceremony in the Downing Student Union courtyard to welcome former WKU First Lady Mrs. Harriet Downing, wife of President Dero Downing, and she is joined by her children Alex and Elizabeth. Mrs. Downing? And likewise to your left is Minton Hall, named in honor of former President John D. Minton, and we'd like to welcome Mrs. Susan Minton, representing the Minton family here today. Susan? The designation of emeritus is often bestowed on faculty or administrators to honor extraordinary professional achievement and service to the university. In that spirit, please welcome Provost Emeritus, Dr. Barbara Birch. And in a tremendous show of support, a number of delegates from other colleges and universities have traveled a good distance to join this celebration. Would all visiting delegates please stand and be recognized? Thank you for your participation and your enthusiasm for this great institution. We are grateful for your support and your attendance. We also want to recognize and thank the members of the WKU faculty for their involvement today. The faculty truly do define the character and spirit of our university through their contributions to teaching, research, and service. They inspire our students, and through their efforts, they elevate our community, our commonwealth, our nation, and our world. Would all WKU faculty please stand? And we certainly would like to offer a special welcome this afternoon to Western Kentucky University's First Lady, Mrs. Casey Schmidt Caboni. Casey? And with her, we're especially honored to have Casey's parents, Tracy and Kay Schmidt, and the parents of President Caboni, Chris Caboni, and Dr. Kathleen Caboni Quinn. And please join me also in recognizing the administrative leadership of WKU, the members of the President's Cabinet, if you all would please stand, and the deans of the colleges, as well as the leadership of the University Senate, Chair Eric Kondratiev, and the Chair of the WKU Staff Council, Greg Hackbarth. Thank you. Seated on the platform this afternoon are the members of the WKU Board of Regents, and I would ask each to stand as I call your name, and please hold your applause until everybody has been recognized. Our Chair, Dr. Philip Bale. Vice Chair, Gillard Johnson III. Secretary, Frederick Higdon. Regent Julie Harris Henson. Regent John Ridley. Regent David Porter. Regent Jason McKinney. Regent George Nichols III. Staff Regent, Dr. Tamala Smith. Student Regent, Andy Dahmer, and Faculty Regent, Dr. Klaus Ernst. Ladies and gentlemen, our Board of Regents. We'd also like to extend a special welcome to Robert King, President of the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education, who is with us today. President King, thank you for joining us. President King is right there. And let's also recognize today's Chief Marshal and Mace Bearer, an honor given to the longest-serving member of the faculty present, University Distinguished Professor Dr. Carol Crow Carrico. WKU is fortunate to have the support of a strong legislative delegation in our state capitol and in Washington, D.C. Several members or their representatives are in attendance. Please hold your applause until we've recognized everyone. And if you would please stand as I call your name. Kentucky State Senator Mike Wilson. Kentucky State Representatives Jody Richards, Jim DeCesare, Wilson Stone, Suzanne Miles, and Steve Riley. Mrs. Rachel McCubbin, representing United States Senator Rand Paul. Mr. Mark Lord, representing Congressman Brett Guthrie. Samara Heverin, representing Kentucky State Treasurer Allison Ball. And from our local community, Warren County Judge Executive Mike Buchanan, Warren County Attorney Amy Milliken, and Warren County Magistrate Rex McWhorter, our elected representatives. Thank you all very much for being here. We're also grateful for the time and energy that many of our alumni and friends dedicate to WKU. Please welcome the President of the WKU Alumni Association, Dina Mills, the Chair of the College Heights Foundation Board, Mike Simpson, the Chair of WKU Student Life Foundation Board, Brad Howard, and the Chair of the Hilltopper Athletic Foundation, Andy Burt. Thank you all very much for all you do. And finally, I'd like to recognize Dr. Kamal Singh, Dr. Abby Singh, and Dr. Steve Sinclair, representing Graves Gilbert Clinic here this afternoon. Graves Gilbert Clinic has generally sponsored today's events and activities, and we'd like to express our sincere appreciation to you for that support. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Rob Hale, the head of the WKU English Department, to present a poem by University Poet Laureate Professor Mary Ellen Miller, written specifically for this occasion. Rob?
I'm honored today to substitute for my dear friend and colleague, Poet Laureate Mary Ellen Miller. As you'll soon see, as I'm sure her laureateship will remind me after we're done, I am an inadequate substitute. As many of you know, Mary Ellen has been in rehab care for the last several weeks. The fact that she's with us today demonstrates the support she has for Dr. Caboni, and the care and devotion she has for WKU. Yesterday, she returned to her home to continue her recovery, but today she returns to her other home, Western Kentucky University. Welcome home, Mary Ellen. Speaking of homecomings, I'll now read Professor Miller's investiture poem, Welcome Home, President Caboni. For those of you who would like a copy, and I think many of you will, ambassadors will distribute them at the reception. One can learn a lot about a man over a beer and a plate of fried alligator. His intellect, his energy, and my favorite trait in anyone, he's very quick on the uptake. He always seems so happy to see you. He has a kind of inner glow that reminds me of what the Quakers call, and I say this with reverence, the inner light. The light that represents all things everlasting and beautiful. He came back. He came back. Back to home and his beloved Hilltoppers. President Caboni loved Kansas, and yes, please, he knows he's not in Kansas anymore, but today he has brought Kansas with him. He has two other homes, New Orleans and the Hilltopper Nation. Autumn seems to produce good people. October for President Ransdell, November 12th for President Caboni. November 12th is also the birthday of the great sculptor Rodin, of the famous essayist critic Roland Barthes, not to mention actor-humanist Grace Kelly. We, the citizens of the Hilltopper Nation, are the toughest tribe on earth. We come in every color. We speak 30-plus languages. We are fighters, but we tiptoe through the tulips, wade carefully through dogwood blossoms, white as pearls, smell the roses, and avoid stepping on the cheddar pinks. We like our environment clean and pretty. But today we can stand on the steps of our state house and fling a chicken that will hit another breed of chicken, the breed that let us down. No need to call their names. They know who they are. So do we. Happily, none of them are present. Today, along with President Caboni, we salute our citizen donors, our kind and generous donors who pulled our hides out of the fire too many times to count. Salute, fellow citizens, those present and those who could not be here today. Salute and thank you. How can we ever give up knowing that there is such kindness and generosity in our nation? We will not. Today is a day of celebration. We applaud the choice of our Board of Regents, and we stand up and shout, our mighty Casey did not strike out.
Mary Ellen has been a part of this university for over 50 years, and Mary Ellen, thank you for one more contribution to this institution. Now, please welcome Chair of the Board, Dr. Philip Bale, for a special presentation.
Thank you, Provost Lee, and thanks to all of you who have joined us today for this momentous occasion. I think it may be easily and accurately said that the most important duty and responsibility of any board pertains to the selection of leadership. And for a university, the most important position of leadership is clearly the presidency. In the 27 months since Dr. Gary Ransdell announced his intended retirement as president of Western Kentucky University, much time and effort has been expended to ensure that the 10th president of WKU is the right person and the correct choice at this critical junction in the life of our university. While some of our present challenges seem unprecedented, make no mistake that every president from Henry Hardin Cherry forward has faced challenges and difficulties unique to their time and place in history. In that respect, today is no different and reminds me of an old anonymous saying that adversity introduces a person to themselves, or in our instance, an institution to itself. Stephen Sample, the late great president of the University of Southern California, once said, "A university president is called on to be an entertainer, a visionary, a priest, a psychologist, and a CEO of 10 to 20 vastly different enterprises gathered under the seal of one university." The skill set for today's university presidents must then surely require an active imagination, with aspirational ideals, coupled with the ability to inspire others within and outside the institution. Part philosopher, part scientist, part historian, engineer, and architect. Always an educator and pragmatist. Today's president must, above all else, be a problem solver. He or she must possess enough experience and wisdom to understand that some answers may only be found within a formula or a calculation, while others may be better discovered through artful listening or a book of poetry. And all solutions should be for the aggregate benefit and advancement of students, faculty, and staff within a culture of civility, mutual trust and respect, and academic freedom. This is what sets American higher education apart from all others, and it requires leaders of uncommon abilities and determination. It is our Board of Regents' belief that in Timothy Christian Caboni, we have found such a person whose boundless energies and passion for the spirit of Western Kentucky University will carry this great university forward and to ever greater heights. Since 1906, the climb to the top of this hill has been the wellspring of success and happiness for generations of hilltoppers. So as we gather today on this magnificent hill with blossoming redbuds, dogwood, and cherry trees to remind us of renewal and the beauty and promise within each of us, it is my honor and privilege on behalf of the entire Western Kentucky University Board of Regents to present and adorn our new president with a medallion. The face of the medallion is a replica of the university seal, and it identifies the wearer as our designated leader.
And now for a special introduction. Please welcome Dr. Randy Capps, Honorary Chair of today's investiture ceremony, Faculty Emeritus, and Founding Chair of the Department of Communication. Randy?
Good afternoon. You know, this gentleman needs a longer introduction than I'm able to give him today, so I hope you'll find time to learn more about him than in the couple of minutes I've been given to tell you about him. I want to tell you, this is a more personal story about Tim Caboni. And it began in 1992. We had a student whose name was Leanne Howard, who finished her master's degree here and went to Louisiana State University to work on her PhD. She called one day late in 1992 and said, I've met this young man here who wants to continue his education, and I've told him about Western Kentucky University, and he's going to call you. So a few days later, I received a call from a young man. He introduced himself as Tim Caboni, and he told me that he wanted to continue his education. And from what he had heard, he thought the program we had here would be a good fit for him. He was admitted to WKU. He started his work in the communication department in 1993 in the spring semester. And Leanne had told me that Tim Caboni was an exceptionally talented student, and she predicted that he would have a successful career. Little did she know that part of that career would be entwined with the school he had chosen for his master's degree. Tim was subsequently awarded a graduate assistantship and taught basic public speaking courses. But that's not all he did as a graduate student. You may know that in 1993, graduate assistantships were fairly modest. And so Tim moonlighted by being a bartender at Andrews, which was a fine restaurant then located on Scottsville Road. So even during his graduate studies, there was a foreshadowing of his future career. He took particular interest in policy and organizations, and then he finished his degree and he left. He went to experience higher education in Loyola University, Vanderbilt University, where he completed his PhD, and there at Vanderbilt he was involved in implementing some very innovative programs. So Leanne was right about Tim Caboni. He has significant publications, both in periodicals as well as a book, which is really appropriate, Institutional Advancement, What You Need to Know. He's presented too many presentations to count, and often is a speaker at conventions. He's been awarded a lot of honors, including being selected in the Academy for Innovative Educational Leadership. He received awards from Vanderbilt and from Peabody. And as early as 1990, LSU recognized him for his undergraduate research. And he went from Vanderbilt to Kansas, and it was there that he met Casey. And that's where the Board of Regents found him. After an exhaustive search for a successor for Dr. Gary Ransdell, The Board of Regents selected Dr. Timothy Caboni in January 2017 to lead the university into its next era, beginning in July 2017. There are many definitions of leadership, but one of my favorite ones is the art of getting things done. So I think that definition speaks very clearly about Tim Caboni, because if you followed the newspapers and if you followed the campus activities, you know that he's been very involved in strategic planning and getting the university ready for its next era. So, Dr. Caboni, welcome back to Western Kentucky.
Thank you, Randy. And before we begin today, there are a few groups and individuals that I'd like to recognize and to thank. First, to the Board of Regents, thank you for your belief in me and for entrusting me with the responsibility to guide this university. Your support and your commitment to WKU enables our climb to new heights. During the course of my life and my career in higher education, I've had countless interactions, conversations, struggles, and teachable moments. Each of these in some way shaped my worldview, added to my conceptual scaffolding, and prepared me to serve in this role. To my higher education colleagues in New Orleans, Nashville, Lawrence, and now in Bowling Green, thank you for your support, your challenges, your friendship, and your teamwork. No accomplishment or success with which I have been associated in my career has been only of my doing. It all has been the result of talented groups pursuing shared goals. And I hope each of you can take pride in today as partially a celebration of you and your work. To my students, during every higher education course I've taught in the past almost 20 years, I have learned as much as I have shared, and I'm thankful for every one of you. To Bernadette Gray Little, thank you for taking the chance on a young associate dean from an ed school to serve as your public affairs vice chancellor. I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to serve with you and for all I learned from your example of how to lead with grace, strength, compassion, and unwavering core values. To my parents, thank you for instilling in me a love of education and teaching, both through your words and, more importantly, through the example of your careers. I also am very appreciative that you let me stay awake at night with the light on to read in bed. That's proved a very helpful habit. And finally, to Casey, thank you for your support, your love, and for being willing to be part of this grand adventure, even on those occasions when it may seem less than grand. I love you. Now, you've just heard the story about how I got to WKU for the first time, and this is where, for me, my path forward in higher education truly began. Here on this hill, with faculty who were committed to investing their time, their energy, and their faith in me, a young graduate student from Louisiana. I came here with no connections, sight unseen, following a brief telephone call, as you heard, with Randy Capps. And this is where things clicked for me. I came to understand how a university could be more like a family, and how one's peers, mentors, and teachers could influence a student's aspirations, goals, and perspectives. I also experienced for the first time how the theories I learned in the classroom connected to the world around me. It shaped everything I would do later. As I moved on to Loyola, Vanderbilt, and then Kansas, and now back to WKU, we often talk to prospective students about WKU being a place where your professors know your name, where you can apply what you learn to gain experience that will lead you to a successful career, where you will create lifelong friendships and connections, and how this hill and your time here will remain special and important no matter where life takes you. For me, WKU is all that and much, much more. I want others to have that same experience, and that's why I came back to WKU. And I'm so honored to work alongside each of you as we continue to advance this remarkable institution. As we work together to reimagine Western Kentucky University and chart our course for the next decade, I want our shared vision to retain what is most special about this place. What must remain at the heart of everything we do is that at its simplest, our mission is to transform the lives of our students, which in turn improves the quality of life for their families and elevates the communities where we all live and work. The national conversation around higher education challenges our traditional thinking about what universities should do. Issues of affordability, access, delivery methods, time to completion, graduation rates, and student success compel us to approach our work differently. Additionally, as some circles question the value of a liberal arts education, the essence of what it means to be educated, our purpose beyond career preparation is at risk. This is the lens through which much policy is developed at the state and national levels. The expectation that the cost of higher education should be borne by society and the state has shifted to the burden falling ever more squarely on the shoulders of families and students. What was once a public good now falls to the responsibility of individuals. 90% of our nation's college graduates are alumni of institutions like ours, but our voice is frequently absent, with policymakers focusing on flagship universities and elite private institutions. Given our role, shouldn't we have more of a presence in this conversation? More importantly, shouldn't we lead by example, sharing the innovations we create, the creativity we employ, and the commitment we demonstrate in our classrooms and laboratories every day to help solve the challenges we face in higher education? In the coming weeks, our new strategic plan will take shape, and we'll begin to put the pieces together from our various work groups, community forums, and campus conversations. This has been an inclusive, transparent effort to create the roadmap for our next decade of growth. I'm grateful for the interest that you've shown in this important work. This plan will anchor us and it will guide us. It will focus our attention and our resources. It will hone and winnow our priorities, and it will ensure that we maintain that all-important student focus that has been the foundation of this institution since its beginning. Our new strategic plan also will put us at the forefront of the national conversation about the challenges and opportunities that exist today within higher education. More importantly, it will drive the conversations about how we must evolve to better serve our students, the region, and the nation. We will model what it means to elevate the communities we serve. We will embrace and champion methods of innovative teaching and learning. We will collaborate across disciplines, breaking down silos that insulate and isolate us. And we will achieve student outcomes in ways that transform the lives of all who call this place home. That means our faculty, our staff, our students, our alumni, and the communities that surround us. As we look forward, I want to outline several important steps we will take to improve the student experience in a way that focuses on their success, to rethink how we gather as a community of scholars, to more closely engage with local industry and investors, to ensure we remain affordable and accessible to our families, and to ensure the experience we provide remains true to our ideals. First, we must be more intentional in our efforts to retain students from the first to second year and to set them on a path to graduation in 4 years. We cannot afford to lose nearly 30% of our freshman class each year, and our students cannot afford to take on debt without earning a degree. I have challenged our student affairs and academic affairs leadership to work together to create a robust first-year experience that will connect our students at the very start of their academic careers to their faculty and peers in an environment that encourages growth, bonds them to the institution, and puts them on a path to success. We will take the opportunity we have as we rebuild on the footprint that currently holds Barnes Campbell and Bemis Lawrence Halls to establish a first-year village at the south end of our campus and create true living learning community for our first-year students. In many ways, this is a concept that returns us to the ideals on which higher education in this nation was built, the Oxbridge Model, connecting the time spent in the classroom and the 150 hours spent outside the classroom with one another. As we build these new residence halls, we will use the space in a way that enables deep faculty and peer engagement around important ideas that connect directly to student success and learning. Classrooms, study rooms, social spaces, and living spaces all will be combined, connecting students with similar interests, common goals, and shared challenges together with faculty, staff, and student mentors who will help them navigate through the first year and matriculate successfully to the second, setting them on a path to timely completion. Second, we can rethink how we combine learning and engagement with core services on our campus and do so in creative, innovative ways that benefits our entire campus community. Our public-private partnership with Aramark provides us with a unique opportunity to transform and rethink where and how we gather over meals as a campus community. As we proceed with plans to renew dining service in the academic core at the top of the hill, instead of simply rebuilding the Garrett Conference Center, we will invest those funds into our campus libraries, creating an intellectual hub that invigorates engagement, stimulates learning, and creates a sense of community for the entire WKU family. And how better to do so than over a meal? By creating the WKU Commons in a partnership between our libraries and our dining services, we can bring together important learning spaces to include collaboration areas, spaces where digital scholarship and data are used, flexible teaching spaces that are adaptable and that enhance pedagogy and enable active learning and problem-based instruction. All of these can be combined in our libraries, in the heart of our campus, in a way that brings our community together in the space where they take meals. Essentially, we will create a flexible and modern space that serves as a dining destination for our entire community. It'll be a home for our community students to eat, work, study, and collaborate. A destination for our faculty to engage in conversations with their students and their peers. And a place for all of us to gather and to celebrate daily the collaboration central to academic life. We will move away from thinking of the library as a book warehouse or materials repository, and we will revitalize that space to become a place where ideas are created, shared, and shaped. And while no one graduates from the library, no one graduates without the library. Third, research is central to our mission at Western Kentucky University, but the type of inquiry we pursue, its purpose, and its use, and our focus on practical discoveries is unique here. We are not an R1 institution, and that should not be our aspiration. Our position as an applied research university, one that puts ideas into action, that applies theory to practice, that has immediate value to our community, and one that is essential to the undergraduate student experience. That is a great comparative advantage for our institution, and one we should embrace and celebrate. Beyond more traditional grant-funded scholarship that will remain an important part of our research portfolio, we must connect more effectively our resources to the community in a way that leverages our intellectual capital to elevate the local and regional economy, to drive innovation, and to fuel growth. As part of this effort, we will redefine the work we do through our Research Foundation, our Office for Research and Creative Activity, and the Center for Research and Development by bringing them together into a single location. What we begin today is the first step toward creating a true innovation campus located just to our south, a place where our corporate partners co-locate, where student companies incubate, and where new ideas are created. The physical space exists now, but the concept is new. The WKU Innovation Campus will be a lighthouse that attracts the best and most innovative thinkers and brings them together around the table to create the next generation of companies that will grow here. We have more to do to truly create an intellectual environment that will diversify our regional economy and help new companies form and spin off to create jobs that are more attractive to our graduates. We must engage industry and local companies and work with local government and the state to attract, create, and grow new industry. We want to create partnerships between them and our students, faculty, and research labs, all with the purpose of ensuring that our students have an applied learning experience and that our graduates can stay here. We can and we must do more to ensure that our university assets, including our human capital, are dedicated to driving the economy and growing the talent pipeline for the Commonwealth and for our region. And that means all the communities we serve. Our campuses in Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, Glasgow, and Owensboro should be magnets that attract investment and draw companies that want to be located near our faculty, staff, and students. I want to reiterate my strong commitment to our regional campuses and our partnerships with the communities where we're physically located. Please hear this. Just because we've changed the structure under which our regional campuses will be administered does not lessen our role in providing access to four-year baccalaureate degree programs through our campuses in Elizabethtown, Glasgow, and Owensboro. Nor does it mean that we are less committed to our role in growing those economies or developing local talent. We will continue to have a strong presence through our regional campuses, but we also have an obligation to all of our citizens to create pathways for completion that include partnerships with our local high schools and community colleges and with business and industry. We need to think differently about instructional delivery because we will be challenged to find ways that cost less, serve more, and that above all, directly connect our academic offerings with the needs of our students in the places where they live and where they work. Developing talent is at the core of what we do, but we can't do it without providing access. And let's be honest, access is threatened as the cost of going to college rises. Since its founding, this institution has been an institution of access and of opportunity. From the time President Cherry opened the doors to now, Western Kentucky University has been an instrument of social mobility and economic improvement. Dr. Cherry founded this university as a means to elevate the region and transform the lives of our students and their families, particularly for those who were the first in their families to go to college. We must and we will remain committed to the core tenet of opportunity. And to do so, we must do all we can to be affordable and accessible to the students and families in our region. That means acknowledging the role we have played in increasing the price of a college education. We must continue to press toward being more efficient and keeping our costs under control. We also must continue to advocate for appropriate state investments to cover our routine fixed cost increases and to enable us to meet the needs of our students. But even with all those efforts, we still will need to do more. And philanthropy will play an ever more critical role in ensuring that for those who are ready to come to college, ready to study with us, ready to join our Hilltopper family, that they will be able to benefit from this remarkable place no matter their family's economic condition. During this past year, I've met with countless alumni and friends who've made gifts to support WKU. For each and every one, the motivation behind their generosity is the desire to give back in some significant way, to pay it forward, to create a path for someone else. Their stories, your stories, are inspiring. So many have shared how your experience here prepared you for a successful career and a good life, and now you want to do the same for a young person, to give them the chance to create a better life for themselves and for their families. Our tradition of funding opportunity for others began with our first president, Henry Hardin Cherry. In 1923, President Cherry received a $100 gift from a member of the faculty for the purpose of providing financial assistance to deserving students, and with that first $100, he established the College Heights Foundation. Today, the College Heights Foundation administers more than 1,200 scholarship funds and has a total endowment of more than $75 million. To continue in that tradition of aiding deserving students in need, I'm excited to announce the creation today of the Wku Opportunity Fund. The Wku Opportunity Fund will be a focused effort to raise $50 million to support WKU students. And beyond tuition support, the WKU Opportunity Fund will enable our students to access educational experiences that otherwise might remain out of their reach. It will help our most needy students attend conferences, study abroad, pursue national internships, and present papers. It will unlock those crucial and meaningful experiences designed to enhance classroom learning that often seem unattainable to students struggling just to make ends meet. In her position as Director of Principal Gifts and Special Projects, Casey serves as a key member of the university's development and major gifts team. In that role, and as an important component, of her work as our university's First Lady, I've asked Casey to take the lead on this effort for WKU. Through the WKU Opportunity Fund, our philanthropic partners, our investors, our alumni, our friends will be crucial in our efforts to ensure that financial need is not an obstacle to earning a degree at WKU or participating in the complete WKU experience. Finally, I want to talk about that experience. It's what makes us special, and it differentiates us. Our campus is, and it should be, a place where all are welcomed, included, supported, and cared for. Diversity of background, of thought, and of place, all connected through this WKU experience. Inside and outside of our offices and our classrooms, I want all of us to see the value in being with people who see the world differently than we do, whose culture, whose life experience, whose understanding of things is different from our own. There is great value in recognizing that we all don't understand things in the same way, and that we can benefit from trying to understand one another. And as our students depart the Hill to begin their careers, we must ensure they're prepared to collaborate, cooperate, and connect with people unlike themselves. The WKU experience must intentionally create intellectual discomfort and challenge our students to broaden their worldviews. We want to encourage them to think broadly and to be a part of something bigger and less familiar. In our sometimes caustic and difficult world, I hope they will learn that people can disagree without being hurtful, that they can challenge one another without causing harm, and that they can find themselves on opposite sides of an argument and still remain friends. However, I also hope our students leave WKU with a set of core values and beliefs that are not negotiable, that there is right and there is wrong, good and bad, acceptable and unacceptable, and to know that those values will be challenged, but also to know that our world needs people in those situations who will make the ethical choice, will do the right thing, and will not compromise. Finally, I want each of you to recognize that the WKU experience is about much more than readying students for a career. Appreciate that what we do together is transformational. Many of you only need to reflect on your own time here as a reminder that everything we do prepares our students for a lifetime of success, and that this is about so much more than simply preparing them for a job. Yes, we must ensure our graduates leave us with the skills to be successful in the workplace. However, beyond the technical skills needed to fill today's jobs, we must impart them with an intellectual nimbleness and a facility with ideas so they are prepared for jobs that haven't been thought of today. We must give them the ability to reason and solve problems, to communicate, to speak persuasively, to work effectively in groups. These are the skills that lead to lifelong success. And we must cultivate a love of learning among our graduates, an inquisitiveness and an unending curiosity. All of this in the service of not only preparing them to make good livings, but also to make good lives for themselves, their families, and the communities where they live. So at the heart of what we do and why we each chose to invest our lives in support of higher education is our shared desire to change lives. Whether you do that through groundbreaking research, by teaching in a classroom, or in one of the hundreds of support services that get our students in the door and carry them through to graduation and beyond, we all are part of something much larger than ourselves. It's a fantastic journey. Sometimes the circumstances of the day may make the path seem more like an uphill climb, but then we are on a hill, aren't we? During these times, I would offer this. Reflect upon the 112-year history of this university. Recognize the thousands of lives that have been transformed because of the great work we do here. Some of those lives are your own, or perhaps your parents', or maybe your children's. Dr. Cherry laid the foundation during a time that presented great challenges, and yet we have persevered and risen to heights that I feel sure were well beyond his wildest dreams for his beloved Western. What we do as a community, as a family, will forever make a difference. Thank you for choosing this path. Thank you for climbing this hill. And thank you for allowing me to climb with you.
A powerful vision for WKU's future. Thank you, President Caboni, for your commitment to advancing a shared vision for our university, for your dedication to our community, and especially to the students, faculty, and staff of Western Kentucky University. We welcome you as our president and look forward to working with you in the coming years as you guide this university in our important mission to be a student-centered, applied research institution. Thank you very much. We now welcome the WKU Chorale, directed by Dr. Paul Hondorp, as they perform Toi Tambour. This is a particularly appropriate selection because the central theme is teamwork, and it's the importance of each individual's role. To quote the composer, in order for a team to succeed, everyone must work together. The leader must always put the collective well-being of the team ahead of his own glory. Ladies and gentlemen, the WKU Chorale.
Toi tambour, kata kata boula popo caféon, discussion, 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 영보 dimanche matin. Léo son nanguinet, dum dum yo tikata, dum dum yo tambouré, dum dum yo moula, boula, mamboula. Toi tambour, kata kata boula tambouré, oui, Tabore, 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 akbola, afrape, Stand up and cheer for dear old Western. For today we raise the red and white above the rest. Rah, 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 our team is fighting, and they are bound to win the fray. We've got the team, we've got the steam, for this is dear old Western's day. Western's Day.
It is Western's Day. Let's have a round of applause for the WKU Chorale and another big round of applause for President Caboni. I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of this truly momentous occasion for Western Kentucky University. I want to express our appreciation to the WKU Brass Ensemble, to the WKU Chorale, the members of the Investiture Committee, and the campus volunteers for all their assistance today. And again, we want to acknowledge and thank Graves Gilbert Clinic for their sponsorship. After the recession was finished, you're all invited to a reception at the opposite end of the Centennial Mall, where you can sample some more from the music department, particularly the steel drum band, which everybody always loves. Carol, bring forward the mace and let's have the recessional. And thank you all very much for being here for this very special occasion.
We now join our regularly scheduled program